Dr. Zix, 441, adjusted her optical sensors for the 15th time, her 6 delicate appendages trembling as she approached the examination table. The specimen lay still under the sterile light of the medical bay, its pale pink exterior unmarked except for the thin line she had drawn across its torso with her plasma scalpel. "Are you certain this is necessary?" asked her assistant, Dr. Krenth, his crystalline voice carrying undertones of anxiety that resonated through his silicon-based vocal cords. "The creature has been cooperative during all external examinations." Zix, 441's primary eye cluster focused on the readouts surrounding the table. The being called Marcus Webb had volunteered for this procedure as part of the first interspecies medical exchange program. His vital signs registered within normal parameters for his species, though what constituted normal for humans was still largely theoretical. The High Medical Council requires complete anatomical documentation, Zix, 441 replied, her translator converting her bioelectric pulses into standard galactic. 300 species have joined the Confederation, and we have detailed internal maps of each. Humans will not be an exception. The truth was more complex. In the 6 months since humanity had made contact with the Galactic Confederation, their biology had proven. Their external healing rate was unprecedented. Their ability to function with damaged organs seemed almost supernatural. Most disturbing of all, their psychological resilience in the face of trauma had baffled xenopsychologists across 17 systems. "Subject is under full anesthetic suspension," reported Dr. Krenth, consulting his bioscanner. "Neural activity minimal. Shall we proceed?" Zix, 441, activated the plasma scalpel. The device hummed softly as it began its precise incision along the predetermined line. She had performed this procedure on thousands of specimens from hundreds of worlds. Comparative anatomy was her specialty. She had mapped the internal structures of species ranging from the gas-dwelling ethereals to the crystalline silicates of Proxima Beta. Nothing had prepared her for what lay beneath human skin. The first layer separated cleanly, revealing a network of red fluid channels that pulsed with mechanical regularity. Standard cardiovascular system, though the pigmentation was unusual. Zix, 441 documented the findings with professional detachment, her recording devices capturing every detail. "Muscular structure appears to be carbon-based protein fibers," she noted aloud. "Density higher than predicted." Dr. Krenth observed the tensile strength of these tissue samples. But as she prepared to expose the internal organs, something caught her optical sensors. A faint movement, almost imperceptible, in the creature's abdominal cavity. "Did you notice that?" she asked, pausing the incision. Dr. Krenth adjusted his position for a better view. "Notice what, doctor?" There was movement, independent of the cardiovascular rhythm. They both stared at the partially open specimen. The chest cavity rose and fell with mechanical precision, the artificial respirator maintaining the creature's oxygenation. But there, another flutter, deeper in the torso. Zix, 441, continued the incision with increased caution. As the abdominal cavity opened, she immediately noticed the unusual arrangement of organs. The liver was significantly larger than their models had predicted, and the kidney structures seemed to be self-repairing, even under anesthetic suspension. "Remarkable regenerative capabilities," Dr. Krenth observed. "Look at these cellular activity readings. The organs are actively healing the surgical trauma in real time." But Zix, 441, had frozen, her optical sensors fixed on something that defied every principle of xenobiology she had studied. Surrounding the major organs, interwoven through the muscle tissue, and threading through the nervous system like some kind of secondary network, were structures that shouldn't exist. "Dr. Krenth," she whispered, her bioelectric voice barely registering on the translator. What do you see in the lower thoracic region? Her assistant leaned closer, his crystalline sensors focusing on the area she indicated. For a moment, silence filled the medical bay, except for the soft hum of life support systems. Then Dr. Krenth began to emit a high-pitched harmonic that Zix 441 recognized as his species equivalent of screaming. Threading through the human's internal cavity, pulsing with their own separate rhythm, were dozens of snake-like organisms. Each was approximately 12 centimeters long, with segmented bodies that glistened with an oily secretion. They moved independently of the host's nervous system, weaving through organs and muscle tissue with purposeful intelligence. Parasites, Dr. Krenth managed to vocalize between harmonic shrieks. The entire species is infected with parasites. But Zix 441's horror was deeper and more profound. Her extensive knowledge of xenobiology told her what Dr. Krenth hadn't yet realized. These weren't parasites. No, she said, her voice carrying harmonics of absolute terror. Look at the integration patterns. Observe the neural connections. These organisms aren't invading the host. She manipulated her surgical instruments with trembling appendages, exposing more of the mysterious creatures. Each one was connected to the human's nervous system by delicate filaments. Their movements synchronized, not just with each other, but with the host's brain activity. They're part of the nervous system, Zix 441 continued, her professional composure cracking. They're not parasites. They're integrated biological components. Dr. Krenth's screaming intensified as the implications became clear. Every human they had encountered, every diplomat and scientist and cultural ambassador, carried dozens of these creatures inside their bodies. The beings that had seemed so remarkably similar to other Confederation species were revealed to be composite organisms, multi-species entities, functioning as single units. How many humans are there in the galaxy? Dr. Krenth asked, his harmonic voice breaking. 7 billion, Zix 441 replied numbly. 7 billion humans, with an average of 43 internal organisms each. The numbers were staggering. Humanity hadn't just joined the Galactic Confederation as a single species. They had introduced nearly 300 billion previously unknown life forms, all existing in perfect symbiosis within their host bodies. We need to contact the High Medical Council immediately, Dr. Krenth said, backing away from the examination table. We need to quarantine every human in Confederation space. We need to. Wait, Zix 441 interrupted, her optical sensors detecting new activity in the specimen. The snake-like organisms had begun moving more rapidly, and several had oriented themselves toward the surgical opening. One of the creatures raised what appeared to be a head, featuring sensory organs that focused directly on Zix 441's optical cluster. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. Doctor and organism regarded each other across the vast gulf of species difference. Then the creature opened what could only be described as a mouth, revealing rows of microscopic communication organs, and spoke in perfect standard galactic, "Please don't stop the procedure, Doctor. We've been waiting so long to finally meet you." Dr. Krenth's scream reached frequencies that shattered 3 pieces of medical equipment. Zix 441 simply stood frozen, staring into the intelligent eyes of a creature that lived inside what she had thought was a single-species organism. "My name is Symbiont Marcus Neural Cluster 7, the creature continued politely. "We've been hoping to establish formal diplomatic relations between our species and the Confederation. We have so much to discuss." As more of the internal organisms turned toward her with their own tiny, intelligent eyes, Zix 441 realized that humanity's admission to the Galactic Confederation was far more complicated than anyone had imagined.